welcome to gagrule.net. Today we're going to talk about this despotic ruler, the Turkish despotic ruler Erdogan, how he simultaneously manipulated EU, the 27 nations of EU, and 50 states of United States, and Russian Federation. So how did this despotic ruler did all that? This is the way the Turks do things, of course. So let's talk a minute about most people now know the Syrian quagmire, but let's talk about how this despotic ruler put Syrian quagmire in motion. First, he sent his spy plane over Syria, knowingly Syria gonna shoot it down, and which has happened. And so what he does, he run to NATO. And you know NATO has two articles, Article 4 and 5, which is equivalent to fatwa and jihad in Islamic term, right? So basically he called fatwa, which is Article 4. And I wouldn't be surprised that Turks wrote those articles, you know, and because Turkey always used jihad throughout their history, okay? So he goes to NATO, and that's how he tell them, look, I'm a NATO ally, and Syria shut down my plane. That was the way he drugged the European and Americans into the Syrian theater. Yeah, I know you might say, yeah, is American behind? Yeah, but the epicenter of this is this despotic ruler, okay? So this is how he started. Then what he did, and now he got okay from those countries, he started bringing in all those terrorists from Turkic nation, Kosovo, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, everyone from Central Asia. He brought them in Turkey, he trained them, he armed them with US taxpayer, he financed them, and he shipped them to Syria under the name Free Syrian Army, you know. So he basically created opposition. When he sent those trucks, of course, it was full of terrorists, full of missiles, rocket, you name it, okay? So he sent them there. Now what he did, those trucks, in their way back, he literally yanked factories from from Syrian industrial city called Aleppo, which is now the war is raging there. So he fill them in, he bring them into Turkey. If you read Turkish newspapers, 60% of new business startup in Turkey are Syrian, but Turkey call them refugees, okay? So he bring them into there, and he created this convoluted refugee camp, but really they were all brain drained. First he started brain draining Syria to collapse Syrian economy. That was his first plan of action. Then after accomplishing this war in Syria, he did many false flag operation, from sending chemicals and all that kind of things, but most of them didn't work, especially when Russia got involved. So so what happened is, like, he started these refugee games. So ask yourself, who made those vests? Who made those boats? Who sold those boats? Who sold those vests? Who smuggled those refugees? Who put them in the boat? Turkey. Turkey made billions and billions of dollars after those refugees. Never mind, every refugee, child, $1,000, adult, $2,000. This was in beginning of the stage of this Turkish crime. Those prices ratcheted up. They were 10,000, 20,000. So think about it. Hundreds of billions of dollars Turkey made from the blood of Syrian people. Okay, so he put them in the boat, unleash them on Europe. Now he goes to Europe. He says to Europe, you know, you want me to stop these refugees? I need 5 to 10 billion euro, and I need free visa for 75 million Muslim Turks. Imagine, have you ever, go read the history. When was this kind of international level extortion? Turkey literally blackmailed 27 nations of Europe and got away with its crime. In same time, he blackmailed United States, the 50 state of United States. There's something called Washington. He said, if you want to use Incirlik Air Base, you have to give me smart bombs so I could murder the Kurds. And US did. Obama approved it. They sold smart bombs, and Turkey started bombing, killing, murdering Kurdish men, women, children. And the same time, they shot down Russian plane and brutally murdered Russian pilot in the front of the whole world. Do you see how this despotic ruler blackmailed simultaneously Europe, United States, Russia? So now Turkish economy collapsed because Russia put embargo on it. So what he does? Because here is how, look at this economy. It was the 80 billion, it started going down, 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 and the beaches were empty, the hotels were for sale, and the Kurds were sending body bag after body bag to Erdogan. So he had one choice: to go to Russia, to beg, apologize, Russians. Imagine this egomaniac will go apologize for Russia. So he apologized for Russians. There was many reasons why he apologized for Russia. Economy was one. The most important was that Russia had evidence on Turkey's connection with the Islamic State and the oil smuggling. And Russia put those evidence documents in Security Council. And Erdogan was fearful that he's going to end up in international court in Hague. That was one of the reasons. Of course, the second reason, the third reason, which you could see now, he's annexing Syria. Russia saying nothing. US, of course, give them green light. Europe saying nothing. So you see how he twisted and turned it around, become suddenly friend of Russia. And we're going to talk about this his military exercise. You call it coup d'etat. But this was all this evil, despotic ruler, how he manipulate the region and twist it and turn it and get away with his crime. See, what people don't know about the Turks, they have history. Every Turkish ruler have committed invasion, occupation, genocide, ethnic cleansing. Erdogan, this Islamic State was Erdogan's trial balloon. He and his ex-prime minister Davutoglu, they invented this. They invented Arab Spring because this neo-Ottoman Empire, it's a disease, it's a genetic disease in Turkish head and blood. They cannot take it out. The reason is because if you know, like Germany was destroyed, Japan was destroyed, but Turkey left alone of their crime. Not a single Turk being put on trial from World War I until today. Every crime they committed, from invasion of Cyprus, all this Syria, Iraq, all this crime, not a single. So that's why they went ahead, created this Islamic State. It was their trial balloon. Now let me show you this. This was a book written by his former prime minister. Now here is, look at this so that you understand all this Arab Spring, all this Islamic State. It was planned by the Turks. Yes, you could see Americans coming because they fooling everybody. They know they are a con artist. Okay, so here. The nation state established after the breakup of the Ottoman Empire are artificial. See? And Turkey must carve out its own. This is a neo-Ottoman plan in their head. This is nothing to do with America, US, and that. This evil empire, they did this same thing with Islamic Empire. Okay? So here is another one. Turkey must either establish economic hegemony over the Caucasus, Balkans, and the Middle East, or remain in a conflict-riven nation. You see? This is where their goal is, to conquer the Caucasus, the Middle East, the Balkans, because this was their territory. They lost it. They want it back. That's why they're manipulating this whole superpower. It is another one. He believed that the Arab Spring had finally provided Turkey with a historical opportunity to put this idea into practice. Do you see? They had planned this. Don't blame anybody else. There's the last one. He predicted that the overthrow of dictatorship would be replaced with Islamic regime, thus creating a regional Muslim brotherhood built under Turkish leadership. This is why they did in Egypt. They started with Egypt first. They overthrew the Egypt government, put the Islamic brotherhood in place. This is why when Egyptians wake up and overthrow the Islamic Brotherhood, Turkey was furious. And until today, they are against Egypt. How could you throw democracy elected? But they're using this democracy as a tools to overthrow the government, put their own Islamic Brotherhood. This was their plan. So this is one of the reasons they fooled the Kurds, because they were doing this Arab Spring. And you remember, Al Jazeera was news after news breakup, the Turkish model, because Qataris and Turks and Saudis, they wanted this Islamic Brotherhood. Okay? So what they did to the Kurds, they fooled them with this called peace process. And it was all done by Turkish intelligence, was not even politicians was involved in. Okay? It was to put the Kurds in the sleeping mode. That's what the peace process was. Even then I said this peace process is reversible. They didn't want, because if there is smoke, there is a fire. They didn't want, because they were creating this Arab Spring, they didn't want the Kurdish Spring to come on. So that's how they put the Kurds in the sleeping mode. And then of course when this despotic ruler lost the parliamentary election, he called another one. That's equal democracy. When you don't win, you just call another one. And he started declaring war on the Kurds, slaughtering, massacring the Kurds. The Kurds could not vote. He got majority parliament. This is how despotic ruler Erdogan is. So you see, Turkey has three very, very dangerous tools. That is Israel, Islam, NATO. You see, the Turks, just with Islam, when the Islamic Empire shot themselves in the foot, brought the Turks in as a slave soldier and mercenaries, well, they destroyed the Islamic Empire and hijacked Islam. With just Islam, they went and conquered 3 continents, the Middle East, the Balkan, all the way to half of Europe and North Africa. But imagine now they have Israel, they have Islam, and they have NATO. This is more dangerous than giving Turkey 50 atomic bombs. Because Israel's job is to corrupt Washington, let the Turkey do whatever he wants. NATO is to corrupt Europe, turn Europe against Islam. Of course, Islam is Turkish tools, turn them against the West. This is how Turkey has these 3 dangerous weapons in Turkish hand, and they are manipulating the way they want it. To really, Turks love Israel. Turkey doesn't like neither Israel, neither United States. They are the most, there's not a single Muslim country they hate Americans, Israel, and Europe than Turkey. Okay? Now here is, watch this.
The way it developed was very suspicious from the start. Turkey recognized Israel in 1949, not necessarily just because it loved Israel, but because that was its entry card into the Western camp.
The fact that Turkey was willing to have relationship with Israel had to do with its relationship with the West and the fear of the Soviet Union. And Israel was part of the West. Elections, this was the beginning of a change because they felt strong enough to do different things, both ideologically, politically, and militarily. On all these levels, we started to see the change, and it had also influence on Israel.
One of the reasons that Turkey valued its relationship with Israel so much until very recently is that Turkey relied on pro-Israeli lobby support in the West, particularly Washington, but it may be even in France, on the issue of Armenian genocide. And it has supported Turkey on this particular issue. So that was important for Turkey.
On this point, and maybe the Jewish lobby in the United States is not working so hard and as it had done in the past in supporting Turkey's move.
Many Turks.
So you see, Israel is a tool, NATO is a tool, Islam is a tool. Turkey doesn't give a damn about Islam. In 1915, when they got defeated, when they were even calling jihad against the French and the British and the Russians. They said those are enemy of Islam. Well, what happened after they got sort of defeated? Not 100%, like, you could say 50%. They took Islam, they threw Islam under the bus. They took Islamic alphabet, the Arabic alphabet. They threw on their bus because the Turks never had alphabet. And they replaced it with the Latin. They changed their clothes to Western clothes. They changed everything. They said to Europeans, oh, we're like you. We're like the Muslims are really, really bad. We don't want to be Muslim. They throw the caliphate under the bus. Because remember, Turkey Ottoman Empire was caliphate. And that's why now this, which I said that they tried this caliphate, it was a trial balloon. This Abu Bakr, it's made in 100% Turkey. They, when invaded, it was the Turks, invaded Mosul, and imagine all those provincial government offices, city halls in Mosul. Islamic State, guess what? It goes take over Turkish consulate. Why? Because they had satellite communication with Ankara. They're communicating. The Turkish consular, they give them even cell phone. They put them in they kick the Christians out their home. They put 52 Turkish so-called hostages in there. And then they decided, they put them in the truck nicely, took them to the border. You show me when was Islamic State a hostage, didn't kill them. Not a single Turk. And all those bombing you see in Turkey is all Turkish Islamic State doing it to the Kurds. Not a single Turks accidentally, yes, but single Turks being killed by Islamic State. It's only attacking the Kurds. Kurdish wedding, Kurdish demonstration, it's all attack is on the Kurd. But Turkey, because happening in there, Turkey says, oh, you see, we have the terrorists. They don't have any terror. The terrorists are Turkey. So how the Turkish economy went from, as you could see there, from $190 billion to $800 billion. Zoom up. It's all because of the blood of Iraqi people, Iraq and Afghanistan, and now Syria. If you think United States just went in Iraq, did these things, and Turkey had nothing to do with it, then you do not understand the Turks. You do not understand Turkish ruler. You never read Turkish history. They sucked Americans in there. They sucked American in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Libya. This evil empire, people have to read their history, understanding how evil the Turkish rulers are. They destroyed Iraq, was booming. Syria, Lebanon was the commercial center of Middle East. Turkey didn't like this because those who are under their control, and how could be they are doing better than Turkey is doing? So they had to destroy them. Iraq was a self-sufficient country. But now, guess who? Turkey is building every construction in Iraq, from including in Kurdistan, everything. Kurdistan, in Iraq, literally 80% is owned by the Turks anyway. So there's nothing Kurdistan. It's just like this puppet they have in there. Barzani is Erdogan puppet, and he does whatever Erdogan does. And imagine, he's a friend with this puppet because the puppet gives them free oil, but he's not a friend with the Turks, which is the majority of Turks live in Turkey, 20-30 million. He's killing, murdering them. He's killing and murdering the Kurds in Syria. But this puppet in Iraq, he's a friend of this Erdogan. And he also have a military base near Iraqi Kurdistan to protect this puppet regime. That's the reason Turkey has in there, beside protecting the Islamic State in Mosul. And so this is how evil this is. Their economy, Turkish economy, boom, all on the blood of Iraqi people and Syrian people and Afghani people. They saw when during the Afghan war, because Turkish military planes, nobody inspect them. They take soldiers in Afghanistan, they fill them in with opium, they bring them in Turkey, take them to Kosovo, Turkish distribution center, opiums get distributed to Europe. Billions and billions Turkey made. When you see a country, this massive public construction, bridges, mega airports, mega train station, mega everything, you know it's a corruption money. This is why this war between this despotic ruler and this Fethullah Gulen in US is more to do with the mighty dollar than here. So there is two military business, industrial business, one controlled by Gulen and one controlled by Erdogan. So this so-called military coup d'etat, it was really industrial coup d'etat. Erdogan wanted to take over these Erdogan industries, and plus he wanted to clean up those generals that he doesn't like, because some of those generals didn't want to go Syria. As you could see now, he is when annexing, because he wanted to get rid of those generals. So he has all these Islamic terrorists running his military, and that's how he went now annexing the Syria. So the war is, in fact, if you look like a few days ago in the Turkish newspaper Hürriyet, it was very clearly he went and took over the Gulen industries, and like here is here is how Gulen is now so a happy man. The chief prosecutor in Istanbul has issued order for confiscation of the property of 187 suspects, including Turkish Confederation Business and Industry, TUSKON. And this is the takeover. This is what Erdogan was planning to do, and he did it, and he took over. And so you understand, this is they know how to fool. They could fool other people, but people like us who understand Turkishness, they can fool. And of course, in United States, they know exactly what is going on in Turkey. Here is the
Middle East have been aiding terrorists.
The Turks were great friends, the Saudis, the Emiratis, etc. They were so determined to take down Assad, they poured hundreds of millions of dollars and thousands of tons of weapons into anyone who would fight against Assad, except that the people who were being supplied were al-Nusra and al-Qaeda.
In the Middle East,
do you know? See, there are thousands and thousands of weapons and terrorists. They know. Then what happened? Biden goes in there, begs and banned, apologized for Erdogan. I mean, here is this mighty superpower that within 1 week could wipe out Turkey from the map. Look at that. He's begging, bending, apologizing for this despotic ruler. Do you know how embarrassing it is for America? This is amazing. How this one despotic ruler is blackmailing the entire world. You see here, he was friends with Gulen. They're clapping, praising each other. And what happened now? They're killing each other.